Hello YouTube. Everyone knows the Great Wall of China, I assume, but for some reason few people know about the Great Wall of India, which was built earlier. This wall surrounds the Kumbalgarh Fortress, located in western India. It was once called the Guardian of Death or the Eyes of Mewar. The length of the wall is about 36 kilometers. Some places it expands to 8 meters. Despite numerous attempts, the wall was never destroyed during the wars, and the fortress was taken only once. And then, as I understand, through the fault of a traitor who sent information about the water access to Kumbalgarh. But I want to tell you more about this masterpiece of the genius of the people of India. Look, it's important to recognize sublime cultural heritage of its civilizations. I know this is not being taught in schools, for example, in the United States, but India has played a tremendously important part in the history of our planet. Anyway, there was a question, have castles similar to European ones been built in India? Yes, they were built, although they sometimes differed from the European ones very much. After all, what is a castle in Europe? It's the house of the feudal lord, its owner, or the king to stay during his trips around the country. In India, the first function of the castle was the same, but the temples were also built inside the castle, and the castles themselves were much larger than European ones. Many of these castles are simply huge, and just one of them is Kumbalgarh in the western part of the Aravalli range, near Udaipur in the state of Rajasthan in western India. The object is included in the UNESCO World Heritage, and it's clear to see why they included it in the list. It is difficult to imagine something more majestic from what people have built on this planet. Of course, yeah, there are pyramids in Giza, there is the Cologne Cathedral, but Kumbalgarh is still something unique. Kumbalgarh is fortress of the Rajput Principality of Mewar. It is, like I said, located on the ridge of the Aravalli Hills. It began to be built, as far as we know, in the 15th century, in 1458, by order of the ruler Rana, Maharana Kumbha, who was a zealous opponent to the introduction of Islam to India. It was built for more than 100 years and continued to be completed even in the 19th century. Today it is available to the public, and in 2013, by the decision of the World Heritage Committee, the Kumbalgarh Fort, along with 5 other Rajput castles, was included in that UNESCO list under the general name Forts of Rajasthan. So when you go to India, as I hope to do sometime in the future one day, you know what to look at. Nevertheless, among all these forts, it is the most famous. And by the way, why was the name fort chosen for it? In our view, a fort is something specifically military and relatively small. But the point here is not size, but the device itself. The fort, unlike the fortress, does not have fortress towers, but has bastions. So the famous Red Fort and the Kumbalgarh Fort are, yes, the fortresses and very large, but with bastions on the wall. You can call them bastion-type fortresses, but this name would be emphasized professionally. And so, fort, short and clear. However, the most important thing in Kumbalgarh Fort is its walls. Again, more than 36 kilometers long. With such a length, it is the second largest wall in the world after the Great Wall of China. And the fort itself is the second after the Chittorgarh Fort in Rajasthan in size. Moreover, the first buildings on this site were erected a long time ago, although it is impossible to establish the exact time of the construction. So that's very interesting. The earliest name of this fort is believed to have been Mahindrapur, while the historian Sahib Najim called it Mahor. At first, the fort is believed to be built by King Samprati in the era of the Moors in the 6th century. So we have interesting additional information. Its further history up to 1303, before the invasion of Raja Al-Din Khilji, is definitely unknown. In its current form, the Kumbalgarh Fort was built by the Rajput ruler Rana Maharana Kumbha and his dynasty, descendants of the Sisodian Rajput Hindus. Well, Maharana Kumbha's domain stretched from the Ranthambore to Gwalior and included large areas of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. There were 84 forts in them, and allegedly he personally designed 32 of them, but Kumbalgarh is the largest and most complex of them. 6 horsemen could easily pass along this wall at once. On the left is a temple carved out of solid rock. The fort remained impregnable to enemies for many years, and only once, due to the lack of drinking water, it was taken by the troops of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Ahmad Shah I of Gujarat tried to take it by storm in 1457, but after looking around, he considered any efforts to be useless. Well, then there was 1458, 1459, and 1467. Mahmud Khilji also made attempts to capture the fort, but they were in vain. Well, Akbar's troops under the command of the Shahbaz Khan took the fort in 1576. But for the reason as already noted, which was one, lack of water, and treachery, as the other source tells it, despite all the vicissitudes of wars and seizures, residential buildings and temples in it have been preserved quite well. Well, today the fortifications are also being repaired, so the fort is not in danger of destruction. What is this fortress like? First of all, it should be said that the Kumbalgarh is built on top of a hill with a height of 1100 meters above the sea level. Imagine building such a structure. The front walls have a thickness of 4.5 as well as 5 and 8 meters. Historians claim that 6 to 8 horsemen could freely ride along the wall in one row. There are 7 fortified gates in Kumbalgarh, 700 bastions in the wall, and 360 temples have been built inside on the territory surrounded by these walls. 300 ancient Jain temples. Jainism is a dharmic religion that appeared in India around the 9th to 6th centuries BC, and the remaining 60 are Hindu. From the towers of the palace, erected at the highest points, you can view the Aravalli Reach for many kilometers. Even the sand dunes of the Thar Desert can be seen from the walls of this fortress. According to legend, when Rana Kumbha started building the fortress wall in 1443, the first wall collapsed. Then he consulted with the priests, and they said that a voluntary human sacrifice would solve all the problems. He was advised to build a temple in which the volunteer's head should be located and the rest of his body should lie under the wall. As expected, no one volunteered for some time, but one day a pilgrim, some accounts suggest that it was a Rajput soldier, and some that it was the spiritual mentor of Rana Maharana Kumbha himself. Well, he volunteered and was beheaded according to the ritual. Well, the main gate of the fortress, Hanuman Paul, is exactly where this great sacrifice was made. According to the same legend, Kumbha used massive copper lamps to illuminate the construction work that was going on both day and night, because it was cooler at night, and they consumed, those lamps, 50 kilograms of ghee oil from buffalo milk and 100 kilograms of cotton daily to provide light for the workers working both on the mountain and in the valley. Well, And there are inscriptions on the Hanuman Pal Gate which describe in detail the construction of the fort. That's how we know about this. By the way, there are several stone cisterns on the territory of the fort for collecting rainwater, which provided supplies to its garrison. There is also a Hindu Ganesha temple built on a 3.7 meters high platform and considered to be the earliest of all the temples built inside the fort. The Mahadeva temple is located on the eastern side of the fort and was built in 1458. The central shrine of Shiva is supported by 24 huge pillars, and his sculpture is made of black stone, and for some reason Shiva from Kumbalgarh has 12 hands. In addition, there are many giant temples on the territory of the fort, as I said before, so there is no doubt that pilgrims flocked here by the thousands, which brought those who were in charge of the temples considerable income. Today the fort hosts a 3-day annual festival in memory of Maharana Kumbha's passion for art and architecture. There are sound and light shows, various concerts, dance events, a competition for knitting turbans, tug-of-war in the image of sacred mandalas. And now let's think a little about the fact that there are many giant walls built by great rulers to protect their land holdings, but the construction of such a large defensive wall around a single fort is truly an unheard of and unique event. And as far as we know, it happened without aliens from outer space or ancient Hyperboreans and other Atlanteans, we think. The Indians could have built it, so they took the opportunity and they built it. Although it's stuffy there in India, it's hot, the mountain is high, poisonous snakes crawl, and hundreds of people reportedly die from their bites. But they decided and did it. Ghee oil was burned at night, but they did it anyway, and kudos to them. We will look again soon at India's civilizations, and there are many mysteries. It's a truly remarkable country, and I am so interested in the discoveries about India and what the person I really respected for his work and insight, Ivan Yefremov, what he knew about India, because he knew a lot. And we will talk about it in the future videos. I appreciate your attention to my work. If you can support my research, you will find links in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel, tell others, and like it. Thank you.